Welcome to third grade curriculum night. My name is Mrs. Wickman. Mandy Wickman is my name. This is my daughter Charlie, who is in 7th grade, and my son Jack, who is in 5th grade. Let me tell you a little bit about the third grade mission. Third grade is a big year for kind of growing up. And among some of the things that we really try to foster in the third grade level is that of responsibility, active engagement in the learning process, independent thinking and problem solving, individuality, the ability to work together, and also to be productive. So this is a year where we really push kids to kind of become their own advocate, take more control of their learning. Go into Google Classroom, find the assignment, and look at what the page numbers are before asking me or any other teacher what the assignment is. Trying to problem solve on their own before they go to an adult. Things like that are really big in third grade. And even though we are in a remote setting this year, I will still be fostering some cooperative learning throughout the learning process with breakout rooms and smaller group meetings and things like that. In language arts, we will be using the Fontes and Pinnell classroom again this year. It's a great program. It consists of many pieces. Whole group, I do read alouds where we have discussions and the children respond to the literature in writing. We will be doing some small group work. This week, for example, we'll be meeting toward the end of the week in small groups to discuss the books that I sent home, their book club books. And once I get ahead of some more assessments that the reading specialists at their home buildings are helping me out with, we will dive into guided reading sometime in the next month, and we will really do some more small group instruction as well. This year in writing, we'll be using the Writer's Workshop model, which is that I model. I use mentor texts that help me model. We do lots and lots of examples, and then the children do work on their own writing pieces in conjunction with that. We're currently working on a narrative piece. The children have been thinking about, special memories in their lives, and we've been reading books that are special memories in our authors' lives. And we have been working on creating some of those details. This week we will start drafting some of those paragraphs. We'll also be working on some informational text. We'll be studying biographies, persuasives, all kinds of different things. And we will be conferring, sharing with each other, reflecting on our writing. And we'll be able to do this via Google Docs as well as little mini conferences with each other. Not only do we focus on sort of the prose piece of writing, but we also have other pieces such as grammar, listening and speaking, handwriting, which we've already started with the cursive, and keyboarding. We're super lucky this year to have those fancy keyboards. It's the first time that third graders have received a built-in keyboard for their iPad, which is super nice. So I'm really excited about that for our third graders this year. When it comes to math, we tackle all of the strands of the Common Core, which are numbers and operations in base 10, which we're currently working in with place value and estimation and addition and subtraction. But we will also get into operations and algebraic thinking, where we'll get into multiplication and division, geometry, measurement and data, and of course, numbers and operations, including fractions. The 8 mathematical practices are as follows: making sense of problems and persevering in solving them. So we really focus on, if you try it one way and it doesn't work out, I want you to try it a different way. I want you to rewrite the problem, try again. So that's really something that we really try to focus on in third grade, is that grit and that perseverance. Also reasoning abstractly and quantitatively. So, just using good, reasonable skills to tackle their math problems all along the way. Constructing viable arguments and critiquing the reasoning of others. So not only can we tackle the problem, but then we can sort of dissect it and look at the pieces and discuss whether or not we think somebody else did it right or if we did it right based on arguments of the methodology behind solving the problems. We're also going to model a lot of things, especially once we get to our word problems, and we use something called bar models a lot. And that's sort of drawing out the word problem. So that will really help in solving it. I think it gives the kids a visual clue along with solving the problem. Using their tools strategically. So, that's just using all the wonderful tools of mathematics in the appropriate way with, a strategy in mind and knowing what they're doing. Attending to precision. A lot of this comes to lining up problems correctly, labeling with the correct answer. Mathematicians, I always tell the kids, are very precise. Everything is, you shouldn't have to guess on what the answer is. It should be very obvious to you through your work. Look for and make use of structure. Again, lining things up, doing things in a certain method, step-by-step process. And finally, looking for and expressing regularity and repeated reasoning. So, there's patterns. We will be looking for and trying to solve patterns in all kinds of different problems. Finding the repeated reasoning in all types of different problems as we go. This year, we will be doing science and social studies as well. We will be sort of chunking that as we normally do. So right now, we're doing weather and climate with science. And we'll do that for a few weeks. And then we'll switch over to social studies and we'll do that. I am lucky in the fact that I have Susan Peterson helping me plan some of those assignments this year as she is for the hybrid students. So that will actually... that's a nice thing. We're all staying on the same pace that way. And the kids will be used to, for children that might have to go from a remote to a hybrid setting or vice versa, we're, using some consistency through that. I take her lessons and I add a synchronous piece to it for my remote students. But it's nice that I have a co-teacher there helping me out. Parents often ask, what should we be doing at home? Here's just a couple of things, some consistency. The kids should be getting up at the same time every day, maybe trying to get to bed at the same time, having breakfast finished before we're on our first Zoom meeting or lunch, completed during that hour versus having the kids still snacking in the afternoons. That can be a little bit distracting for them. Give them a sense of pride. Give them some things to do around the house. And I know we're spending a lot of time looking at our screens during remote instruction, so maybe limiting the extra screen time afterward. Get them outside. Get them playing with blocks and Legos and, things of that nature. Don't be afraid to set goals for both school and at home. And really, I want us to all get in the habit, the kids, of getting in the habit of checking their to-do list every day and turning in their assignments when they're due. Otherwise, those things are going to compile on them and they're going to feel a sense of weight on their shoulders. With being remote, it's a lot harder. I can't walk around the room at the end of the day and say, hey, I don't think you turned this in. So I really need the kids to kind of take a little bit of responsibility there and check that to-do list. Pretend like it's me tapping on their shoulder at the end of the day. And finally, going along with that whole self-advocacy, if the kids have a question, have them email me first. Have them jump back in the Zoom during independent work time. If I'm, or that asynchronous time, so during guided reading or during math, I'll often stay on the Zoom once the kids go to work on their things, and kids can jump back in for extra help if they need it. or they could email me and say, hey, Mrs. Wickman, I'm struggling. And if I'm not working with somebody else, I can jump back on and work with your child. And the Google Classroom do's and don'ts. So again, check that to-do list every single day, please. Check their grades and look for comments from me. If I say, hey, can you check number 3 or can you check page 27? Have your student rework the problems and resubmit their answers. They only need to resubmit if there are changes that I have asked for. But oftentimes, if they resubmit, I will change their grade into a more favorable grade for them. You have control over what you see. Parental settings wise, you can choose to either set that up each day or each week or never at all. Okay, so I have 2 very different children of my own that live at my house, and my parental settings are set differently for my kids. My daughter is very on top of things, would never miss an assignment, so I don't actually have her settings on. My son, however, periodically will get a little flighty and skip a thing or 2 along the way. So I have his set up for weekly. If I had a child that I knew wasn't turning things in on a consistent basis, I would probably have my parental settings checked for daily so that between the 2 of us checking that to-do list, hopefully we can conquer each day's tasks. The other big trick is to make sure that somebody has hit the turn in button. A lot of times kids complete the work and then they forget to hit that turn in button. On my end, if they don't hit that turn in button, it doesn't necessarily pop up for me to grade. So that's a big clue to me that there's something waiting for me to grade. At the same token, there's some kids that hit turn in before they attach the assignment. So then I'm seeing something blank instead of the actual assignment. So we need to just all kind of get in the habit of making sure that we're turning things in the right way. Obviously, this is different than what they've done in the past. And so once we get in the routine and the habit, that will be easy for them going forward. Don't forget, they also have a math Google Classroom. It's not just the homeroom Google Classroom as well. And finally, if you want to send me an email, about your child, we struggled last night, or we have a doctor's appointment, or whatever it might be, send me that email directly. Please don't use the comment feature in Google Classroom, because then the child is involved in the conversation. If it's something where you're like, I don't understand how to attach this, or the directions are blurry or something like that, you can write that right in the comment section of the Google Classroom. But I just wanted to let everyone know that when you type something into that Google Classroom comment, your child is also privy to anything that we discuss on there as well. And lastly, thank you so much. This has been a much better transition than I ever would have imagined into remote learning. This was a surprise to me that I was going to be teaching remotely, and I think it's gone quite well. So thank you very much. That would never have been the case if you didn't have things in place at home. I love when we're in our meetings and I can tell that the students are at their same little post in the house every day, and they're ready to go and on time. So that's great. Keep that up, please. Thank you so, so much. And don't ever hesitate to reach out. I am simply a phone call or an email away. Thank you.